Hey, what's up, family? We're back again for another episode of Unscripted. This is actually episode number 11. Man, we're checking our course, and man, we're moving right along with this whole unscripted thing. Tonight is a very special night. I have a young lady here. She's been here before. She's a return guest. You know, anytime you get an invite back, they say you must have did all right the first time. So she did all right, you know what I mean? But we're bringing her back. As a matter of fact, she did an excellent job, so much so she's back by popular demand. We told you we would bring her back, and so she's back in the building. Here's what I need you to do, guys. I need you to do me a huge favor, and I need you to share this broadcast. You know how to share the broadcast, guys. You're a Facebook phenoms. You know exactly what to do. Click the little share button. Click the like button to let somebody know that you like what Unscripted is doing. Let me remind you also, we're here every Friday night at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. Hey, there's 3 little dots right above this video. If you click that, it's going to ask you if you want to be notified when we're live. If you click that and just say yes, that way you don't have to try to remember. And anytime we're live, it'll just pop on to let you know there's something happening on this channel. Listen, I'm telling you, tonight's going to be an amazing night. It's going to be outstanding. As you come into the room, just let me know you're here. Just say hello, say hi, say how you're doing. You know, at Unscripted, we talk around here. So we want to know that you are in the building. We want to know you're in the building. You need to tell all your parents, tell all the friends, tell everybody who's trying to get adjusted with all this virtual learning. And even if they're going back to school, what our guest is going to share with us tonight is going to be very impactful and very insightful. This is what she does. You ever see somebody who's a master at something? Well, she's the master at this. Now, she's probably not going to say she is, because she's all humble and all that other type stuff. But I'm going to say, man, she's masterful at this, and her organization is doing phenomenal work. And you see it right there on the screen, so I guess I can go and tell you who it is. This is no other than Neonta Williams. She's with Black Alabamians for Education. But even if you're watching this and you're not in Alabama, the principles are going to be the same, and you can implement some of this stuff right in the state where you are. You know, I'm a firm believer that, you know, people perish for the lack of knowledge. That's why anytime you see Unscripted on, anytime you see us on your screen, you need to watch, because we're all about bringing you value. We're all about increasing you, because we want to make sure that you are your best. We want to make sure that your family experience the best. And so we know that one of the ways that happens is that you get the information that you need, that you get pointed in the right direction. And so she's absolutely going to do that tonight. Right after we have this little this promo, then we're going to kind of loose her and let her go for what she knows. I want to encourage you to join me on next week. Next week, I want to prepare you for next week, because it's going to be a show that I know is going to bless your life. Now, tonight is going to bless your life. I told Miss Neonta, I said, now listen, you're setting it up for what's to come, and so tonight is just as important. But next week we're starting a month-long series. It's going to be a month-long series, and I'm calling it the September Success Series. The September Success Series. And so I'm having different people on who are successful in their particular area, whether it's business or whatever it may be. I'm not going to tell you all the areas, but I got some heavy hitters coming on, and you don't want to miss any of the episodes. And so I just want to give you a taste of how we're going to kick it off next week, September 4th, 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. Listen, watch this promo, check out what's happening on Unscripted.
We are the Breakfast Club, and we have a health and wellness expert in the building. Goes by the name of A.D. Dolphin.
What's up, my brother?
Hey, I'm good.
Please welcome my friend, the creator of the D-Herbs Full Body Cleanse, my buddy, Mr. A.D. Dolphin.
Hey!
You've worked with some really big celebrities.
Yes.
And you know, you work with Niecy Nash,
yes.
Anthony Anderson, Brandy Norwood, and more. You have Beyonce.
We all got all this stuff and all these failures all around us, and it stops us from going for it or jumping, as Steve would say. us, you know, going outside of yourself and just really going for stuff. I'll tell, you know, I have no problem sharing. That's my whole thing. I want everybody to win. If you're not making $20 million, you're not doing nothing, period. You out here playing. You out here just absolutely playing. You just swimming in the shallow end of the pool. I don't bend because of money. People always say, oh, you can make more money if you do this. I'll be like, I don't want to make money that way. And I honestly follow that all the way. So that's why I really feel like in the next 5 to 10 years, that's where D-Herbs will be doing. Probably be worth over $1 billion, doing at least $500 million a year, and just kicking butt.
Whoa. That's why you need to mark your calendars, guys. You need to make sure that you are somewhere to be found next Friday, September 4th at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time right here on Unscripted. It's going to be our guest, A.D. Dolphin. You can go look him up. You probably heard of him. He's frequents Steve Harvey morning show quite regularly. As you see, he's been on several different platforms, and he's going to be right here. He said if you ain't making $20 million, then you ain't doing nothing. You swimming in the shallow end of the pool. I said, oh, Jesus. But that's the kind of people we want to bring to you, because I know that he has so much to contribute. So whether you're in business, or if you know somebody's in business, or if you just want to manage well your household, and you want to manage well your finances, or just be inspired in whatever you're doing, those type of people can be infectious in a good way. And so I want to make sure that you're right here. Well, tonight's guest is not any slouch. And so she's coming on, and she's going to give us some great things as well. And so she's leading the way for what's going to happen. And I'm telling you this, I want you to pay attention to what she's going to share. I guarantee you she has some keys that will bless your life. She dropped one on me just in the green room. And we were talking about not being afraid to ask for what you want, and not being afraid to go after it. And she said, you know what? No is an answer. It's just not the one you want. I said, oh, that's good. That's profound. No is an answer. It's just not the one you want. And so don't get discouraged by the no's. And that was just one nugget that she put on me. I know she has so many other things she's going to share with us today. So Unscripted audience, help me welcome our special guest tonight, the one and the only Miss Neonta Williams. Hey, how are you?
Hello.
You doing good?
I'm doing great, doing great.
Good to see you today.
Same here. Good to see you as always. I'm in the green room just talking to you, talking to the screen, talking to the people like, yeah, who is this person you about to bring on? So excited. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's you. We're excited to have you. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us today. I'm excited about everything that you're going to share. And so I'm ready for what you have. And so you just take your time and go ahead and introduce yourself. And then tonight, guys, she's told me already she's going to really focus in on just helping us as parents, and helping us as those who are trying to navigate this course. But she has so many tools. And, you know, the wonderful thing about her, she is a believer, a real believer for real.
Yeah.
And she's spirit led. So this thing may go all kind of ways. She got some plans, but you know, she got God in her too. So God didn't mess around and shift this thing, but I believe it's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. You
ready for me to go?
You got it. Go for it.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, first of all, I want to thank you so much for this opportunity, for letting me come back on to talk to the Unscripted audience. We never know who's listening. We never know who's just, you know, scrolling and picking up some nuggets. But I hope tonight that those that are already watching will go ahead and start, as you said, start creating some watch parties. Not an expert, but just have spent a significant amount of time working with parents and understanding children. And as school is starting back, you know, it is critically important, especially this year. Last year sort of ended abruptly because of COVID. And so a lot of parents, a lot of grandparents, a lot of guardians are being thrusted into this position of feeling like you're responsible solely for your child's education. So tonight, I just want to give you all some nuggets and make sure that you get this information and you apply it, and it will work for you. And so definitely in the comments, I want you to ask questions. I want you to say, yes, that's my child. What I'm going to do tonight is share some excerpts from one of our parent empowerment sessions. I have the privilege of serving as the executive director of a nonprofit organization that's called Black Alabamians for Education. And our mission is to equip, inform, and empower Black families with information on accessing a high quality K-12 education. Now, we are intentional about engaging Black families, but we are definitely inclusive of all, because children are all alike. They understand, the same. They're just babies, and they need to be molded and shaped. And so Pastor Ty has asked me to come on tonight and talk to you guys about parent power and just some keys for a successful school year. So I thought I would bring you all nuggets from a session that we do that's called Discovering What Makes Your Child Tick. Discovering What Makes Your Child Tick. And we actually are going to talk to you about the 4 different types of learning styles that children have. Because as a parent, as an adult, sometimes you parent the way you understand parenting needs to take place for you. You try to assist your child based on what works for you. I remember growing up and everybody was like, you're going to be a leader. You got to be a leader. But maybe your child is not designed to be a leader. Maybe your child is designed to be led. And so, we need all types of children in this world. And so I want to say to the parents, first of all, as we look at this academic year, for many, it has already started. For some, it's getting ready to start. The first thing I'll say is breathe. Just breathe. Just take a deep breath and say to yourself, it's going to be okay. Just like Pastor Ty said, I know a little word, and I love the word, and I love where the Bible says brethren, because when we hear brethren, he lets us know you are not in this alone. You are not in this alone. So it's going to be okay. You really, and I'm saying this with a smile, but I'm very serious about saying to you as parents, guardians, grandparents, aunties, uncles, anybody that's a part of that village, know that it is genuinely going to be okay. Now, this format that we use to teach about the learning styles, or discovering what makes your child tick, what makes them move, what makes them get motivated, what makes them do what they do. We first have what we identify as the D child, the alphabet D. And I know sign language, so I might be doing a little sign language here. So the alphabet D, if you can see that, the D child. This child is identified as a direct and active child. So what does this mean? A D child, and the reason why we want to go through these is because we want you to be able to identify the learning style of your child so that you can best parent him or her in the way that they need. Because many parents have several kids in the household and every child learns differently. So when we talk about D children, they are direct and active. They like to solve problems and get quick answers. They question the rules. This is the child that's gonna ask why. If you tell them, listen, go put your bags down, why? I want to do this or I want to do that. They also like direct answers, variety, and independence. The D child, the direct and active child, is not the child that you can just give them something to do just to waste time, because they're going to recognize that this doesn't make sense to me. With a direct and active child, when we talk about they like direct answers, this is not the child that you can say, I'll tell you in a minute, or, just give me a few minutes and I'll let you. They're going to come back because they want to know whatever the answer is to their question. And the other thing about D children is that they like to test themselves with new challenges. So at this point, if you're listening in, or as you're listening in, you might be asking the question, what does this have to do with anything? If I find out that I have a D child, what am I supposed to do with that? Because as a parent, it can be frustrating when you have a child who likes to solve problems and they like to get quick results. They question the rules. With D children, what you want to do is you want to try to encourage that child to actually give them things to do, give them things to problem solve, instead of trying to figure things out. Maybe this direct and active child, you can give them puzzles. You can give them, you actually can give them real life problems and talk to them about, like, how would you handle this? What would you do with this in this situation? And the other thing that you can do when you're taking action with D children is give them real answers. You cannot give a D child a fluff answer, because they're gonna figure it out and say, that don't make no sense. And more than likely, whatever you've instructed them to do, they're not gonna do it because they know you just telling them something to do. So D children are not the type of children that you can just give them something to do just to waste their time. And, you know, I mean, I'm talking to parents, and you know how it is as a parent sometimes, you know, you just need them to get away. You just need them to go somewhere and just do something and just get out of your face at that moment. And especially as you are parenting from home, many parents are doing remote or virtual school, whereby your children are learning from a laptop, from a technology device. And it's new for you, and it's also new for those children. So especially with the direct and active child, you're gonna have to find some things that they can do that's going to challenge them. You may have to listen in on to, especially for your elementary age school kids that are D children, you may have to listen in on what the teachers are teaching them. And then you may have to create some activities for those particular children to do, because they are just not going to do well just sitting there and being instructed and told what to do without them being challenged. I almost said amen, but y'all understand what I'm saying so far. And if you got more questions or any questions about the D children, then just holler at us and let us know. The next child that we want to talk about on the scale is the I child. This is the interested and lively child. This is the child. And let me go back to the D child, because typically, again, when we teach and facilitate this session, we usually talk about the learning styles of adults, and then we parallel it to the learning styles of children. So I gave you the learning style of a D child, but if I had to tell you the learning style of or give you an example of a D adult, this is going to be the person that when you walk in the room, and let's say it's a group of people in the room meeting, and then somebody says, has anybody taken roll? And this person just stands up and volunteer and say, I got it. Or they maybe have already done it. This kind of person likes to take charge. And if I was talking about a direct adult, I would be talking about myself, because I'm one of those persons. Like, I see something needs to be done, I go ahead and make it happen. And so, excuse me. And so when you think about that D child and that D adult, that's the parallel. Then we get to the I child. Again, this child is interested and lively. So some characteristics of a I child is they like to persuade others. This is the child that you will, if you are parenting a child like this, a interested and lively child, you will be trying to figure out how in the world did your son or daughter convince everybody else to come along with them. And it starts at a very young age. This is the in parallel to an adult. This is the adult to say, man, y'all wanna start the electric slide? And it takes one person to go out and start the electric slide, and it doesn't matter what song is being played. They can say, come on with me. And the next thing you know, it's a whole crew of people out there doing that. It's the same thing in this interested and lively child. They like to persuade others. This child also is very open and tends to talk about their thoughts and feelings. And sometimes, and what's really important about this as a parent, if you have a I child that is easily and like to persuade others, and they tend to be open and talk about their thoughts and feelings, this a parent with this child, you really, really, really need to stay connected to your child, because as well as having positive effects on the personality and learning styles in these categories, there's also a negative effect on that. And when I say it's a negative effect, if you are parenting an I child, again, this is a child that is interested and lively, they like to persuade others, and they tend to be open and talk to others about their thoughts and feelings. This particular child may be likely to go and tell their friends when something else is going on with them that as a parent, you would rather them come talk to you about. So the reason why this is important is because you want to know who your child's good friend is, in case there is something going on that is possibly unhealthy in their life, that you can then talk to that friend to find out what's going on. Because as a parent, you think that, oh, my child is going to tell me everything. My child is really, getting things, coming to me, communicating with me. We have a really good relationship, only to find out that they really like talking to other people and they are very expressive in their feelings. This child may be the child that'll come to you as a parent and say, that hurt my feelings. I didn't like that. Or, why are you saying this to me? And as an adult, you're looking at this child like, why are you talking to me like that? It almost feels like this child is being disrespectful, and you may even become frustrated, and you may just want to shut them down or shut them up, because this child loves to talk, and not just talk, but they like to express their thoughts and their feelings. The other thing about the I child is that they like to work with other people rather than working alone. So when it comes to schoolwork, when this child has been given an assignment, this child may like to work around other people, not may, but they do like to work around other people rather than working on individual assignments. The other thing is that they are very entertaining. They like telling stories. They like being around people. And we all know adults who are like this, who just doesn't seem like they come out into their light until they're around other people. But when they're by themselves, it doesn't work so well for them. And then the other thing, which is really important about an interested and lively child, is that they dislike the details. So as an educator, when teachers or instructors are giving them instructions on what they're supposed to do with their schoolwork, and I can tell you from being a part of the village, it's a lot of instructions about how to use these devices. Go here, click here, go to this drop down box. Are you using Schoology? Are you using Epic? Are you using Google Classroom? All these different things that they have to know. And the thing about this child is they do not like the details. So what they'll end up saying is, I couldn't find it. I didn't know what to do, because they're just not paying attention to the details. And as a parent, sometimes you may tell your child, especially if they're a little bit older, hey, go in the freezer and get the chicken out and put it in the sink and run some water on it so we can thaw out. That D child, all those details, the I child, all those details and instructions that you've given that child, what that child is probably going to do is go in the freezer and probably get out the pork chops and put them in the sink. So here you are thinking all this time without running the water to thaw it out. So all this time you're thinking, okay, I'm on my way home. The chicken's going to be in the sink. The chicken's going to be thawed out. Not with that I child. That I child is like, no, I don't want to hear these details. So as a parent, if you are parenting an I child, what you need to do is make certain that you are following up with that child. You're following up with the teacher. If there were any specific instructions given, you want to make sure that your child is following those details. I remember growing up, I don't know which of myself and my siblings probably started out as an I child, but my mom used to have to put a checklist of our instructions of what we were supposed to do once we got home from school, because we get so excited, or, we like being around other people and we forget that we got homework. We forget that it's details in the homework. That child, when you're like, well, why didn't you tell me that as a parent, you're like, why you didn't tell me you needed some glue? I don't know. I didn't get that part. that I child. And do I keep saying D child or I hope I'm not saying D child. I hope I'm saying I child. That's right. I see a comment on here with the I child. You may not get anything taken out. You're exactly right. The I child may absolutely forget that you even told them to take something out of the freezer. So again, identify the type of learning style that your child has. There are two more learning styles, and I hope you all are gaining something, but there are two more learning styles that we want to talk about. And the next one is the S child. The S child is steady and cooperative. Steady and cooperative. The S child likes to have things organized and have things stay the same all the time. The S child is the child that, believe it or not, you don't even have to tell them when they come home from school or come home from church or come home from wherever you've been, that S child is probably going to take their shoes off. They're probably going to line them up against the wall, or they probably gonna put them in the closet. They're probably gonna hang up their coat. They're gonna be very structured and organized. The S child does not want his or her folder out of order. If the teacher says the papers have to be in a certain order, the S child wants their stuff in order. They probably have a very neat handwriting. The S child tends to be patient and a very good listener. The other thing about an S child is that they like to participate in a group rather than leading it, and they like to listen. And the reason why I like to talk, some of the things that I like to share about the S child is that as a parent, you may think that your S child, or even as an educator, you may think that the S child is not attentive, not paying attention, because they don't do a lot of talking, but they do a lot of listening. And so sometimes you can end up getting frustrated thinking they're not paying attention because they don't verbally communicate. And it's not that, especially if you have an S child, it's not that they're not paying attention or they're not interested because they're not talking. They just are really good listeners, and they're very patient. If you can tell an S child, okay, baby, give me a minute, and that S child is okay if that minute literally means an hour. But with the D child will learn how to tell time, and you're trying to figure out who taught you how to tell time at 5 and 6 years old. And then they're like, it's a minute, the minute is up. I keep going back to this D child because I'm telling you that's a lot of Neonta. But the S child likes being with people who get along. The thing about the S child is that they may, over the years growing up, find themselves in different groups of friends because they're trying to be amongst the people that get along. The S child does not like mess. The S child likes helping people. And then what I want to say about the S child, the flip side to the S child is that the S child could end up being a person who is very stressed out. Yes, at a young age, very stressed out. What do you mean, Neonta? What do you mean, Black Alabamians, sharing these nuggets that a S child could end up being stressed out? Because the S child, because they like to be organized, because they are a good listener and they like for things to be the same and they're very patient, the S child is the person that the other kids can come and dump stuff on. And what kind of stuff do I mean? It could be some heavy stuff with their friends. It could be something going on at home that's unhealthy. The S child is the child that could very well be taking their lunch money and giving it to other kids. Not because they're being bullied, but just because they hear that Neonta doesn't have enough money for her lunch, or Neonta doesn't have an iPad, or you might find yourself buying a couple of sets of headphones, and the S child might say, I broke mine, just because they want to be able to help out another child. These learning styles that I'm sharing, again, just plugging in here, is so important because most of your children are going to fall in one of the 4 categories. And some may fall in multiple categories, but one, they're going to have more characteristics than the other. And it's important to know which one your child has, because you need to be able to parent that child based on their learning style. You can't make a S child, a steady and cooperative child, be a direct and active child, because it's uncomfortable for them. It's like trying to make someone who doesn't like being a leader, who doesn't like being out front, who doesn't like talking. It's like trying to have that person be out front, be a talker, be involved, be engaged. And the final child I want to talk about, because I know we got some more comments and questions coming in. The final child I talk about is the concerned and correct child. This is the C child, the concerned and correct. The C child has very high personal standards. What do I mean by that? When you see the little girls walking around with the lip gloss on, already getting their nails done, they don't want their clothes dirty. You see the little boys with their shirts buttoned up to the top, you know, they're clean, they're getting their hair brushed, and, you know, they're staying on top of it, don't want their shoes dirty. They have high personal standards, and then their high standards carry over into their schoolwork. And so with C children tend to think a lot about the things before they actually act on it. C children also like to have clear rules and clear assignments. And you've seen this C adult. You've seen this, you've seen a concerned and correct adult on the job. You know, the adult that says, that wasn't in my job description. I'm gonna do exactly what they told me to do. C children are that way. C children can get frustrated when maybe they've been given a project or an assignment, and or just like with our remote and virtual learning, if a teacher says the assignment is out there and they can't find the link anywhere or they can't find access to it, a concerned and correct child is going to be really frustrated because they have these high standards. And even when it comes to their assignments, they're used to having very clear rules on what their assignments are supposed to be. The other thing about C children is that they enjoy figuring things out. A C child does not want to be told what to do. A C child is that toddler that when you're trying to teach them how, maybe they drop something and you know the little baby say, I died it, like I got it. I don't need your help. I'm okay. I'm gonna do it on my own. They start out very, very young, showing their independence, showing their desire to figure things out. And when you have C children, if you are parenting a C child, I highly encourage you to let them figure it out. You know, as a parent, you know, sometimes you just want to do everything for them, but let them figure it out because you don't know what that brilliance is that's inside of them that it can lead to. Our organization has 7 core values that we operate by, and one of them is that we believe that Black children are inherently intelligent and talented. And all that means is that we believe that children are born intelligent and talented, but we believe that they have to be placed in front of the right adult that can foster that intelligence and talent. But that right adult, it starts with you as a parent, as a grandparent, as a guardian, as a person in that village. And so we don't want to hinder a child like a C child who has these high standards and they want to figure things out. They want to make things happen. One of the downsides to a C child, it's not down in a bad way, it's just one of the opposite things that can happen with a C child is that they dislike it when people question their work. And the reason why a C child dislikes it when someone questions their work is because they have already put so much thought and effort into what they're doing. And so if you question their work, a C child may feel defeated. They may feel like you're actually assuming that they didn't put a lot of time and effort into it or that they didn't do their best. And so just some nuggets around different children that you may be parenting, different children that you may be educating. I'm really trying to give you the hot off the press version. Typically these sessions take actually about an hour and a half, 2 hours to facilitate because there's so much more that I can tell you about. Once you have identified the learning style of your child as a parent, how do I parent that? How do I match that? So, you know, I hope in these few minutes so far, I've said something to you that will help you understand the format of D, I, S, and C children. And so I know I got a few more nuggets that, you know, I'm going to give away, but I know Pastor Ty, he's back on here. He's shaking his head like, whoa.
Listen, I'm saying, you know, we gotta let them come up for air a little bit. You're putting it on them. And, you know, those are great tips and great tools. You know, as a pastor, you know, I can't help but think of the scripture that tells us to train up a child in the way he should go. And, you know, in a Black culture, we want to pull that out just to whoop somebody. You know what I mean? So, but one translation says to train up a child in the way that he's bent. And so the way that he's naturally bent. So you're talking about this DISC. It suggests that, you know, there's a bend, there's a predisposition that my child has. And if I can identify that, then I'm as a parent, I'm better equipped to train up that child and not to try to make them someone or somebody that they're not. What she just did in the first 30 minutes, she just saved y'all a lot of time and money on therapy. Because, you know, when I was little, you didn't let me do this and you always made me. So if you can figure out what that is, you know, the Bible talks about that kids are like arrows, you know what I mean? They're like arrows, and the man who has his quiver full, he's blessed. And so God uses all these analogies, but they all have this whole mindset of we have a responsibility in what direction we shoot those arrows or which way they are bent, because the truth of the matter is this, you know, you just get me going as I'm watching it. The matter is this, you know, we steward over these children. They're not our children, they're God's children. Like he told Jeremiah, before you were in your mother's womb, I knew you, I called you, I consecrated, all of that. So it's no accident that your child is a D and they are direct. Whatever God's purpose and plan is for them, they may need that direct. They can't sit by and watch things happen because they're going to be some type of dignitary, or they're going to be in politics, or they're going to be a CEO, and they have to make sure that they are have things in order, or that C child who wants everything, who has high standards. There's purpose in all of that stuff. And so as parents, you know, you've been helping me tonight, because as parents, sometimes we want to make our kids what we want them to be, or we want to make them, you know, how we were, or we want to try to fix them so they're not asking so many questions. Just sit down, I don't know. You know, you want to give all this, and they're really intrigued by certain things. And we really can take that and make a very very impactful deposit in our kids when we understand what type of child that we have. So you said a lot. I know you ready to go to.
I got something else I want to say. I know we got a commercial. Go ahead.
No. You got something? Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, you know, when you start pulling out the word, you start making me think about something that you and I have even had said in conversation before. But as parents, I know we got folks watching, and this is what I want you to understand, and hear this from my heart, that all of these different learning styles that exist, they're real. And just like you said, you know, Ty, sometimes we want children to be, you know, we want them to be like us. The reality is, whatever God intended for us to be, he put it inside of us in the beginning. And so the purpose, and in order for them to fulfill their purpose in life, we've got to be able to foster them in who they are. We can't make them try to be who we want them to be, because what God put in fish was swim. What God put in a bird was flying.
See, now you playing. See, now she want to preach. So
what God put in a calf was a cow. Right. Inside of, I hope y'all hear what I'm saying. It's inside of them. And so we can't make a D child be this steady and cooperative child. We can't make a D child be an S child and tell them to go somewhere and sit down, because we're then suppressing what God has already put in them. So as you said, we are stewards over these children. We have to be able to foster them, encourage them, let them know it's okay. Now, is it going to challenge us as parents and adults? Absolutely. I've had a couple of my family members here with me this week, and I've been thrilled. And one is a boy and one is a girl. And so other family members have been calling like, hey, how is that going? I'm like, it's good to me, because this helps me. And I understand genders are different. I understand that, you know, hey, he's a boy. He's active. He's not bad. Stop calling the children, but they're active. I had to tell someone today, stop calling me bossy. I'm a leader.
Right.
You know, so anyway, I'll come back to some more nuggets, but
she's gonna come back. She got some more stuff for us, guys. Y'all can see she's ready to go, but we wanna just put a couple things before she goes to her next piece. And you know, and because we got to go to a commercial, but let me just say this to the parents, because we'll shift after this. Quit comparing them babies and valuing one more than the other. Yes, they all have value, may be unique, but they all have value. Miss Neonta, this is going very well. We had someone who said they said this. Let me if I can get it up on the screen. There we go. This is very informative information. God is good all the time.
Yes, Lord.
God is good all the time. Then they have something else. They said that they're quick to put kids on meds. But it's knowing their learning style, like you all are saying, and listening to them. Yeah. So people are getting it. I just want you to know that, to show you that a few comments that came. Listen, guys, we're gonna be back with Miss Neonta here shortly. But before she comes back, I just want to share with you just a few things that I know will absolutely bless your life. Check this out.
We are the Breakfast Club, and we have a health and wellness expert in the building. Goes by the name of A.D. Dalton.
What's up, my brother? Hey, I'm good. Please welcome my friend, the creator of the D-Earth Full Body Cleanse, my buddy, Mr. A.D. Dalton.
You work work with some really big celebrities.
Yes.
And you know, you work with Niecy Nash,
Yes.
Anthony Anderson, Brandy Norwood, and more. You have Beyonce.
We all got all this stuff and all these failures all around us, and it stops us from going for it or jumping, as Steve would say. Us, you know, going outside of yourself and just really going for stuff. I'll tell you know, I have no problem sharing. That's my whole thing. I want everybody to win. If you're not making $20 million, you're not doing nothing. Period. You out here playing. You out here just absolutely playing. You just swimming in the shallow end of the pool. I don't bend because of money. People always say, oh, you can make more money if you do this. I'll be like, I don't want to make money that way. And I honestly follow that all the way. So that's why I really feel like in the next 5 to 10 years, that's what D-Herbs will be doing. Probably be worth over $1 billion, doing at least $500 million a year, and just kicking butt.
Everybody, my name is Tanisha, and I'm here to tell you about something that I believe will help you as much as it's helping me. It's called Finding Answers in the Home. Finding Answers in the Home was created during the COVID-19 pandemic to be a place of encouragement and inspiration for those of us who were looking for solutions as we were suddenly quarantined to our homes. Life as we knew it suddenly changed as we went from our busy day-to-day schedules outside of our home to suddenly trying to figure out how to make it work from the four walls from which we live. You may be wondering, what can I tell you about finding answers in the home? Well, my husband and I relocated away from all of our family with only one child at the time, but within a few years we had 2 more children. I'm thankful for the support system that we've gained over the last several years, those that we can entrust our children to, but we don't have the option to drop them off at their grandparents' home or aunts or cousins' house whenever we need a break. We're still finding answers in the home and figuring out how to make it work. So I want to share with you those things that I've learned over the years, such as meal planning, time management, how to prioritize, and how to keep your sanity in the midst of doing all of those things. So whether you're married, a single parent, or whether you're just trying to figure out how to bring more meaning and purpose to your life, Finding Answers is for you. Now that you've heard what we're about, why don't you go ahead and like this video, invite others to join the page, like the page as well, so that we can learn and grow together. This is not just about finding answers within the 4 walls in which you live. It's also about finding answers, most importantly, finding the answer that's already on the inside of you. So let's learn and grow on this journey.
All right. I told you it was some good stuff for you there. Man, set your calendars. Get ready for our show next week with A.D. Dolphin. A.D. Dolphin, he's going to be an absolute blessing to everybody that's watching. Of course, you saw their Finding Answers in the Home, something that it will absolutely bless your home life. Well, guys, we're back here with our guest today, none other than the one and only Neonta Williams. She's been putting on us for the first half of the show, and she's going to go just for a little bit longer, and she has some things that she wants to share with you, a few more nuggets before we open our question and answer session. And so we're going to loose her and let her go. She has some things she wants to share, guys. Let's go.
All right. Thank you. Thanks everybody for listening in. That's a good commercial break. I needed to stop and drink some water because obviously I like to do a lot of talking, but hey, I'm enjoying this. So I'm doing it with a smile. So now parents, I've talked to you about your children and it's like, okay, you give me all this information. Now, what do you want me to do with it? So I want you to do the first thing I said was breathe. Woo. And say it's going to be okay. And then here are some other things I want you to know as a parent. As we look at this school year, for the first 9 weeks, it appears that we're going to be doing a lot of remote learning. Here's what this is really, really important, parents. Remember you, and I'm reading because I had to take me some notes, but remember, you are not responsible for teaching your child content. You are responsible for supporting the teacher and ensuring that your child completes their work. I had to say that because a lot of parents, a lot of grandparents, a lot of guardians are feeling really stressed and overwhelmed, thinking that they are actually responsible for teaching their children because they are at home, teaching them the content that the teachers are supposed to provide. That is not your role. That is not your responsibility. You are responsible for supporting the teacher and ensuring that your child completes his or her work. Not completing it with correction or incorrection, but they at least complete their work. And that's actually, these nuggets are actually in or out of this virtual, pandemic space. This is some nuggets that you should be doing anyway, with your child going to school and receiving their instructions on site. The other thing is, when we talked about the D, the I, the S, and the C child, it's like, now that I have this information, what am I supposed to do with it? So one of the things that I suggest that you all do is send your child's teacher an email or a text message about the things that you know regarding your child. If you were able to identify that your child was a D, an I, S, or C child, and even if you didn't identify anything in there, send them a quick text message with some nuggets, just some high points of, hey, I know that Neonta talks a lot. Why is this important? This is important because if Neonta gets into her classroom and she's talking all the time, it's a possibility if that teacher doesn't know that Neonta is a talker, that teacher is going to, especially if Neonta is a D child, and she is, if that teacher doesn't know that she's a direct and active child, what that teacher is going to end up saying is that Neonta is disruptive, that she is talking too much. And the reality is Neonta is actually a leader, but I guarantee you that the teacher is going to appreciate hearing from you as a parent things about your child or children so that it can better assist them in the classroom. I told you all that I'm, assisting family members. And one of the things that I learned about, my little nephew was that literally every day, every morning at about 8:45, he has to use the restroom. Now, if I was a school teacher in a building, I would be thinking, oh, he's just saying that just to get out of his seat. But this is something that I actually recognize. So that's important for the teacher to know, because she won't think that he's just trying to leave class, but this is something that he really does have to do. It just happens to be that he has to go at about 8:45 in the morning. The other thing that is important for you to share, why it's important for you to share with that teacher, is because you could have 3 children, and this last child may be a steady and cooperative child. Remember, this steady and cooperative child is a child that likes to have things organized. This child tends to be really patient, and this child is a good listener. And if you're that S child is in the classroom and they're just listening to the teacher, and the teacher may be asking questions like, what do you think about this? Or how do you feel about this? Or do you like this? Or do you like that? And that the S child may not have a response. And so the teacher may think that they're not involved, but the reality is it could be that the S child is the 3rd child in the family, which is the baby girl or the baby boy, and they're just not used to having an opinion. Or sometimes it's the middle child. It's always like the older child get what they want, the youngest child get what they want, and the middle child just kind of have to go what everybody says. Because the oldest child is like, well, I'm the oldest, I want this. And then the youngest child is, well, I'm the youngest, I want this. And the kid in the middle just get accustomed to going with the flow. So that doesn't mean that the child doesn't have an opinion, that they're not interested. So I'm saying these nuggets that you know about your children, share that with your child's teacher. The other thing that we encourage parents to do is to ask the teacher, what can I do to support you? Just as simple. What can I do to support you? And you never know, first of all, how much that means to your child's teacher. And then second of all, what they may say. It may be something. In fact, I asked a teacher that this week, and what she said to me is, just be sure that the student reads about 10 to 15 minutes a day. If you can make sure that this child reads out loud to you every day for 10 minutes, that will be all the help in the world. And so that's something simple, but it's something that it's simple to us, but it's major to the impact on the child's education. And then asking the teacher, how is my child doing? Because most teachers, and I don't want to say most, I don't want to assume that a teacher thinks a parent does care or doesn't care. But what I do know is that we have parents from all different types of households, and understanding parent engagement and involvement is different. So I can be engaged without setting foot on the school grounds. And I can be involved without setting foot on the school ground as well. And so you want to be as supportive as you can of not only the teachers, but the administrators and everyone else in the building. And then the last little bits of nuggets that I wanted to give is, especially around technology, is, and some of you all may already know this, but it's just a little FYI, just to be helpful to you. Remember, when the students are in this remote space, try your best to keep your children in a quiet, personalized space. And if you can afford it, please invest in headphones. You want them to have headphones so they can get accustomed to being in that same space. You also want to create a system of what time your children are getting up, what time you're putting them to bed, if they're going to have breakfast. I actually suggest that you have your children get dressed for school. I know sometimes it may be easy, especially if they're running late, to just get up, throw on a shirt, because, you know, us adults have learned how to do this virtual thing. We've learned how to do it well. But the reality is, you're not just shaping your child's mindset for remote school for the first 9 weeks or however long it's going to be. You're trying to shape their mindset around this is actually school. So if you can get a desk, if you can have their own space, we definitely want you to do that. And make sure that they have all the supplies that they need for class. So even this discipline that I'm talking about, the teachers are giving them snack breaks, restroom breaks. Try to allow your children to be trained to only use those breaks use those breaks, not only, but not allow them to sit at their desk eating a snack all morning long. Literally, develop and equip their bodies and their minds as if I am in school, because when they do come back to school, that's one less area of discipline that the adults in the building have to focus on, because you really train them at home how to be structured, if I could say that. The other thing I would add to you all as a parent, as it relates to devices and technology, is a lot of kids are being kicked off of their devices that are connected to the different, I guess you can say, pathways to how the schools are connecting with the children. Some are using Google Classroom, some are using Epic, some are using Schoology. And I'm hearing that some parents the students are being kicked off. Just like we have to shut our cell phones down every once in a while and reboot them, my recommendation is that you turn off the computers daily, turn them off, and then turn them back on so that they can reboot, because it's a lot of information that's being transmitted and placed inside those devices, and it may reduce the number of times that they are kicked out of their classroom without cause. And then allow your child to practice navigating from class to class during non-school hours. And so sometimes, they have to go out of one class and go into another class. And so especially if you have elementary age school kids, you want them to have some level of knowledge. The other thing that a lot of folks haven't thought about is that kids are actually having to learn how to use the keyboard. And so, but again, it seems like it's overwhelming. It seems like it's a lot, but we can do this. We can definitely do this. And then the final thing that I have in terms of technology nuggets is that most schools have already downloaded apps on the devices that the children will be using that offer additional support for learning opportunities. And you may or may not know about that, but you want to ask, where else can I go on the device, especially if it's a device issued by the school, where there are apps on there that can support them in fun games with math and reading and writing and exercising and all these different things to kind of break the monotony of just sitting in front of the computer and watching their teacher instruct them. So the last thing I have is Pastor Ty. I'm sure he's getting ready to jump back on here. And this is literally the last thing, last two things for me. One is that you got to get your kids a good theme song. You got to get them something to wake them up from school, to wake them up before school, to get them going. You got to deposit some positive things inside of them. So one of my favorite songs, and I've made it, the kids that are around me song, and they singing it in the morning now, but it's J Moss, Good Day. I'm gonna have a good day. A good day. I cannot sing, y'all, so don't be laughing at me, but I'm just saying, then they got a little da-da-doo-doo. So if you're listening, go and Google J Moss and make that your family, theme song. I was so intentional this morning. I actually played it when one of the kids was signing on to the classroom, and the teacher was like, hey, you got some good music going on. We got to spread some love. We got to stay positive. We got to stay encouraged. And the other thing you need to do is connect with Black Alabamians for Education, so that you as a parent, you can connect with other parents and find out what they're doing. We got to encourage each other during this time, because we're going to get through this. It is not as bad as it seems. And my final comment is, we got to be willing to, as it relates to education, the whole goal is that we want our kids to graduate from kindergarten, go through kindergarten through 12th grade and graduate college and or career ready. And so what I'm saying to you is, we got to be willing to marry the vision, but date the method. So the vision is, we want our kids to graduate from high school, college, and or career ready. And right now, we're doing a different way of dating the method of how we get there. But if we keep a positive attitude, we can definitely get there. And that's all I got for tonight. Pastor Ty, you got to jump back on here. Come on the screen. Don't leave me alone. I just want us to, be in this thing together.
This is good stuff. This is like very good stuff. This is like, man, prime real. You know what I mean? Like, this is the good cut of you know what I mean? So no, this is really some good information, and I'm so glad that you shared what you shared. And I was listening, and I was sitting over here thinking like, okay, yeah, we got to make sure that they create an environment. It's kind of classroom space, and then boom, there you go with that. Then I'm over here thinking like, well, yeah, you need to make sure that they're not, just feeling like they're at home where they're just getting snacks and leaving the classroom. Then boom, you hit that. So you just hitting all my little stuff that I was going to come back. And so that is great. And I think it's important to set those boundaries and to create that environment and that atmosphere, because it just does something. It's no different than like if you're working from home. Anybody ever work from home, it takes a different discipline to get up, get yourself dressed and all that, and get your mind in the frame of mind to just say, I'm at work. You know what I mean? I'm not going to take a little break and all of that, which everybody does, watch a little TV or whatever it is, but different mindset and training those kids. I think that's going to be crucial, and it's going to be key, and it plays out in their adult lives. You know what I mean? And so I don't think it'll be a while before we all recognize the impact of COVID and how COVID has played, in our lives. But what we can do is we can do our best to implement these kinds of disciplines like you're talking about, and allow for your kids to really go there as it relates to the classroom as much as possible, in your home or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be expensive. You may just designate an area where you have a little TV tray and a chair, and that's their desk, and you have some books right here. But the fact that you make it exclusive to learning, I think it makes all the difference. And it makes all the difference in them receiving it and being engaged as well. And so you covered a whole lot. You covered some great information. I'm not even going to try to recap. I will throw one nugget in there about the virtual learning. You said, what you gonna say? Yeah. Don't tear up the Chromebook, y'all. That's true. Don't tear up the device. Let's make sure your child understand that device is primarily for their education. Now, I'm not suggesting, hey, by all means, if they want to play some little games, whatever they need to do, that's up to you, between you, them, and the school. But I'm saying to you, let's be responsible and let them know that that's a valuable tool. It's a tool, not a toy, and let them know that it is there for learning. So I don't want your keys all messed up and the baby can't type what it needs to type because the key got syrup stuck in there. You know what I mean? So it can't come up no more. You know what I mean? So just valuing what we've been getting and stewarding well over those devices. Mm-hmm. And then I want to say shout out to Black Alabamians for Education and Miss Neonta and their organization. They took on the task of equipping multiple students across the state with the devices that they need to have virtual learning. And so once Ms. Neonta got the memo that I believe is you can correct me if I'm wrong, some 300,000 students didn't have the proper tools that they needed to even be online. Her organization took it upon themselves to raise funds and to do what they needed to do to partner to make sure that, they serviced a lot of children and blessed a lot of children. And if you could put you probably, after we get off of here, it'd be good. You could put that link in the comments so they could see the video of what you were able to do.
Yeah.
And really bless some families when it comes to making sure that they have what they need. I love what you said about the theme song thing too. That's wonderful. Music always sets the house in order. And so having that right music makes all the difference. Tanisha Dillon said, great information. Thanks for sharing, Neonta. She got the little hug and little kissy face emoji, all that, all that good stuff. All right. And then we have another comment. Great info. Shout out to Neonta. Neonta's great work. Thanks, Pastor Dillon, for sharing. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yolanda Horton said, amen. Amen. Praise the Lord. Amen.
Yeah.
Listen, our time has been well spent, but I do want to just take maybe just a few minutes because, it's not often that you get a chance to ask the expert. You said you're not an expert, but you get to ask somebody who has that information. So if you have a question or a comment that you'd like to make, we want to take time to do that before we sign off for tonight. I know she ran the gamut on so many things that we can draw from, whether it's parenting, a D child, an I child, an S child, or a C child. She ran the gamut on the whole virtual learning and what that means and some things that we can do as parents. I think the biggest thing is that making sure that we implement what we've heard here tonight, because we don't want them to just be good ideas. We want to take those ideas and put them to work. And I believe they'll make all the difference. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and put them in the comment section. We'll pull you up on the screen and give Ms. Neonta an opportunity to share or to address them to the best of her ability. I know she's got it. And so she told you there at the end, and I'll kind of emphasize that again. Connect with Black Alabamians for education. There's nothing like having a great network, a support system as we navigate this course. That's a different course, but together we can get it done. And so if you have any questions, you can just put them there. If you don't have any questions, I'm going to take it that she just done such a thorough job that, man, this is not any questions. So are there any, someone may be typing, I don't see anything popping up. Okay, thank you for putting that up there. Let me go ahead and put it on the screen. Black A, is that an L? Okay, good. I was making sure that wasn't an I. All right, Black AL for Edu. Black AL4edu.org. There it is on the screen. I butchered it a little bit, but y'all can see it on the screen. So just go there and you can connect with Black Alabamians for Education. And I'm telling you, a great organization who's doing some real work. I've had the opportunity to sit on several boards, and I won't say which ones they have been, but I will say this. I've sat on some who were really doing the work, and I've sat on some who were meeting and talking about, in theory, what we could do. And so I would say that Black Alabamians, I'm not a board member. I'm just a fan. And I would say that I know the person who's running it. And so what's on the person is going to be on the organization. And she's an integral person, and she's a person of character, and she is doing the work. Man, she's really doing the work, making great impact. And so thank you for all that you do. And thank you for being with us again today.
Thank you.
What you shared was, I believe it was outstanding. And I know it was such a blessing to those who are watching. Hey guys, if you haven't already, go ahead right now before we sign off. Make sure you share this because there's someone who needs this information. Make sure you like this because the algorithm will allow for more people to see this particular broadcast and again get the information. Then also, even if you're watching this by way of replay, it may not be live anymore, you still can share, you still can like it. We want to get this information to as many as possible. I started the broadcast with this scripture, and I'll end with the same scripture. My people perish for the lack of knowledge. And here's the thing, I believe that tonight we were fed with knowledge, understanding, and all we have to do is apply that knowledge. And you know what applied knowledge is, don't you? Applied knowledge is wisdom. And so I want us to make sure we put this knowledge into practice and be wise in our dealings, be wise in what we do, so that we can be successful as we navigate through these times, and our babies can be successful. You know, it's not just about us, it's about our children. It's about the impact that they will make and the impact that we're making on them. And so such great information, such great knowledge that was shared tonight. And so we want to make sure that everybody gets it. And the only way we can do that is if you help us by sharing, liking, doing those. That's a small price to pay for what was shared here tonight. And we appreciate you. Are there any parting words that you have?
Nope. Thank you. I just, you know, in the words of Tupac to the parents, keep your head up. Seriously, I really do mean that. There, and I know you know this as a pastor. There are a lot of people who are, you know, really stressed and overwhelmed. So, you know, get you some peers, call some folks, you know, talk to somebody, laugh a little bit, do something, laugh at yourself, you know, do something to try to maintain your level of sanity. And I believe that if you got to call on the village, if you've got to call on another family member and say, hey, listen, can you get the kids, let me do them for 2 days this week, you do them together for, you know, 2 days next week. We got to do what we have to do because we are responsible for our children being educated. But you also, especially in the state that our country is in, and particularly as Blacks, you know, we need to find a place of peace and sanity. So I mean that from my heart. You know, keep your head up, you know, do it with a smile. And if your kids don't get it, it's okay. Don't get frustrated. Stay safe, stay healthy, love each other, love yourself, love God. That's all I got.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you again for being with us. Listen, guys, that was a great note to sign off on. You know, she gave the words of Tupac, keep your head up. You know, listen, some stuff is just ain't that deep. You know, don't you sit over there and stress yourself out and pull your hair out and be going crazy and, you know, doing all that other type stuff. Listen, it's going to be fine. We're going to get through this and we're going to get through it together. And that's why I'm glad that you connected with us tonight, because that's part of our mission, part of our goal is always to add value to you and to be a part of your success and to help you as you advance and do what we know you can do. One of the key nuggets that I want you to walk away with is that everything that you need is already on the inside of you. And everything that your child needs to be successful is already on the inside of you. You got this. You can handle this. Man, I'm telling you, you already have won. Now all you got to do is walk out the victory that you already have. Hey, thank you so much for joining us again for Unscripted. Don't forget, we're here every Friday night, 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. Every week we got a special guest, and any guest that comes on Unscripted, any guest that comes on the show, they're going to bring something that I know is going to be life-changing for you. Just like Neonta Williams was on tonight, we have several guests lined up in the upcoming weeks, and we want to make sure that you are a part. So to make sure that you're notified, don't forget, right above this video at the top right-hand side, there's 3 little dots. And we want you to just click that, and it'll ask if you want to be notified when we're live. And all you have to do is say yes, and it'll notify you when we're on. There's so much that's going to happen that I know it will absolutely bless your life. Again, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we'll connect with you next week. Same place, same time for Unscripted. Everybody be blessed.
We are the Breakfast Club, and we are the We have a health and wellness expert in the building. Goes by the name of A.D. Dolphin.
What's up, my brother?
Hey, I'm good.
Please welcome my friend, the creator of the D-Herbs Full Body Cleanse, my buddy, Mr. A.D. Dolphin.
Hey!
You've worked with some really big celebrities.
Yes.
And you know, you work with Niecy Nash,
yes.
Anthony Anderson, Brandy Norwood, and more. You have Beyonce.
We all got all this stuff and all these failures all around us, and it stops us from going for it or jumping, as Steve would say. Us, you know, going outside of yourself and just really going for stuff. I'll tell you know, I have no problem sharing. That's my whole thing. I want everybody to win. If you're not making $20 million, you're not doing nothing, period. You out here playing. You out here just absolutely playing. You just swimming in the shallow end of the pool. I don't bend because of money. People always say, oh, you can make more money if you do this. I'll be like, I don't want to make money that way. And I honestly follow that all the way. So that's why I really feel like in the next 5 to 10 years, that's where D-Herbs will be doing. Probably be worth over $1 billion, doing at least $500 million a year, and just kicking butt.